Okay, let's go ahead and get this meeting called to order.
Good afternoon. Today is December the 10th, 2024. This is the regular meeting schedule for the Veteran Advisory Board. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 3, public comment.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Roberto Garza. I am the Regional District Director for Congressman Tony Gonzalez. And I wanted to come here today and give this public comment to let everybody know that I am here, because there is services that we provide in our office. And some of those services provide directly to the veterans, as I am also the veteran caseworker. So what does that mean? It means that you can come into our office or give me a call or email me and say, hey, I'm having a problem with my disability claim, or I'm having a problem with this federal agency. And what we can do is conduct that congressional inquiry and find out, hey, what's slowing it down, what's holding it up, right? So it's very important that the veteran community knows I'm here, so we can help those in the lower valley, especially where my office is, get these inquiries done and make sure that they don't have any holdups in their case. Now, if anyone has issues with any types of federal agencies, come to me and I'll forward your case to the appropriate person that we have in our office. Here in our office, my office is in Socorro, 10167 Socorro Road. It's Casa Ortiz, right? Everybody knows that house. So we're here. If you need anything from us, please reach out, and I look forward to working with you guys in the future. Thank you.
Congressman is a veteran.
Yes, he is. 20 years. Phone number is 915-603-0230. I'm out of cards, but I'll get with you right up.
I was gonna say, if you have one card, we can
Sure. Blake, I'll pass you my phone.
Item number 4, approval of the minutes for the special meeting on October the 1st, 2024.
Can I get a motion?
Motion approved.
Can I get a second?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Item number 8, receiving update from the Paso County Veteran Capital Initiative.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Erica. I'm the Senior Policy Advisor for County Judge Samaniego. I wanted to first introduce our County Judge for a few remarks before we get started. Dr. Gallegos and I are our Marketing Coordinator here at the county. Communications Director for the county. But before, we'd like to hear from the judge first.
Well, first of all, to us, veterans here, to be here today as well. Individuals like Linda and all the others that are here today. I just want to have the opportunity that to talk a little bit about the importance of this board. And I think we need a little bit more visibility. You know, you're involved in a lot of things. You do a lot of things that are very important, but the visibility isn't there. And so sometimes there's some questions as to what is it that you do, what you should be doing. And so I think if we could be more clear and then be able, as part of this marketing, to make sure that we support you and that we're available to you. I know we've learned a lot from Paul and everything that he does with the city and the support that he gives. And so we're very fortunate to have him on board as well. But I also want to talk to you a little bit about the Veterans Capital of the USA and how this could be something very important for you and something that carries you, takes it to the next level. I'm very impressed with the attraction that it's done. I'm going to put it settled because I think it's coming back to everybody. But it's very, it's got a lot of traction and we have to sustain it. And I think one of the things that I'm concerned about is whether or not people understand what we have by saying the Veterans Capital USA. I mean, when you think about, we're also the Sun City, but that doesn't convey a message. It conveys a message that the sun is really good here in El Paso. But then when you go out and, people come from out of town and it's cloudy, they go, the expression, ¿Qué pasó? Okay, every day you're the Sun City and you're not. But a veteran isn't like that. Every single day we have the opportunity to really promote the incredible veterans that are here in El Paso every single day. And so for us to be that role model, and I want to talk about how maybe it's bigger than me, bigger than all of us, is that if every community did what we're trying to accomplish to veterans, and we'd have a tighter, nation, more communities that support them. And I think we take it for granted that we do have, that every community loves their veterans, that every community has just a really good sense of appreciation of veterans, and it's not true. And so I'm very proud of what we do here. And I think this is, it's something that I believe, I remember there was a leader that was talking about way back, Rockefeller, one of those guys says that everything that we do is really not as important as after we're not here anymore. It's so transformational that maybe 40, 50 years from now, there's a great excitement about the fact that we're the veterans capital, and maybe we don't feel it now, but we have to promote it as if one day people are going to realize what I realize, what you realize, of being able to have that title that nobody else has. We're able to defend it. We know very well we have some of the most incredible veterans. I know that we do everything for veterans. It's easy to defend because there's no other community. 145 markers, that we have that recognize veterans. So I think we've always been the veterans capital, and all we're doing is letting people know what we know and letting the whole world know about that. I had a really great discussion with General Taylor. I can tell you, I felt, I think, one of the most important things that we wanted to do was to help the military by us helping veterans. There's no young adult that is deciding on their career and lives maybe in Lubbock might not get excited about going to the military because he might not see that we appreciate veterans. They don't see that. But when I sat there and he says, Judge, that there's a correlation between our increase in recruitment and when you started focusing on Veterans Capital of the United States. We are now the #1 recruiter of all the Army. El Paso is the #1 recruiter that they have in the entire system. And I thought, wow, this is really important. This is something that we have to show the rest of the world that if you take care of your veterans, then it sounds like a good career to follow. I don't think before, you think about, some of the, when you got back from Vietnam and they didn't treat you the way they should have, you don't think that carried over? My brother died in Vietnam, and it's a Gold Star family. We were treated like if, I had to hear things like, "Qué lástima que your brother died in a useless war." Can you imagine as a family feeling that hit? And so we're all trying to heal from that, but we're also trying to take it to the next level. I don't know of any other group of individuals that would be more important in making the Veterans Capital more and more traction throughout the country than this work. Because all of you are entrenched in trying to do something for veterans. All of you are really trying to do the best that you can. And so I hope that you do realize that how important it is, because I sometimes forget that. It seems vague. Like I get up in the morning and think, are we really the Veterans Capital? And what else do we need to do? And it's not in front of us all day reminding us of that. It won't be until everybody else recognizes that. So every opportunity, your family members, whether it comes to El Paso, Los Primos, and everywhere, let them know that we're the veterans, and say that with a tremendous amount of pride. And I've said this before, and I guess I'm bragging rights, but when I was able to tell the President of the United States, Mr. President, welcome to the Veterans Capital of the United States of America. And he goes, oh, and he just had this glow about him. Like that sounded really good. And we could, anybody could challenge that and we'll be okay. We've done research, we've done everything that we can to show that we are, in fact. Nobody's going to put a crown and say, here, you guys are the Veterans Capital. Nobody told Hatch Chili, hey, you're the world's best chili in the world. They proclaimed it, they defended it, they created the quality, and it became the best chili in the world. Same thing with the veterans. So, you know, it's a plea because I feel that our citizens or constituents don't have a good grasp. So promote it. Like I said, let people know that we are the veterans capital. Don't hesitate. Somebody might say, well, who told you? How did that happen? Don't worry, we are. That ship has already gone. It's already sailed. We are the veterans capital of the USA. Now we have to defend it. We have to make it more important. I really believe it's something that could be a great, part of what you're trying to accomplish. There's other things, and I don't want to take that away from any of you. There's other things that you want to accomplish, but if you could please make it one of the central piece of what you're doing, a central focus of what you're doing, I think you're going to do a lot to the community. You're going to do a lot for recruitment, and it'll establish that relationship. General Eisenhower, General Taylor, they're all in to support us as being the veterans capital. That's what is legitimizing us. That's what legitimizes us more than anything else. This is the military recognizing us in El Paso. General Taylor said, I don't care where I'm at. If they said, I'm at El Paso. El Paso is the veterans capital of the United States of America. That's he tells me every time I meet anybody, anywhere in Washington, anywhere I go. And I felt, oh my God, I hope we're doing that. I hope we're feeling that proud as they are. So anyway, I don't want to belabor the situation, but I wish you all the best. Coming into a new year, we have so many great things that are going to happen. We have some challenges. We have a lot of things we have to deal with. But one of the things that's going to help us is stay united. When people tell me the administration is going to be different, it doesn't matter. We're El Paso. We've been here before. We know how to deal with situations. With dignity, humanitarianism, we can move forward. It's not, El Paso knows how to deal with anything. And we're going to be supportive to the new administration. We're going to be supportive to anyone that cares about El Paso. We're going to be supportive. And they're going to see that we're not here to be different. We're here to make things happen for the community, whatever it is, whatever challenges it have. So I wish all of you a great new year. If I don't get to see you, but your holidays with your family, please take care of your families. Let's show a lot of love here in our community. Be careful out there. We need to be safe. Accidents have been happening in Paso. Young are understanding, but please help this community be everything that they can. And thank you. I've got to go on to thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I just wanted to introduce the Veterans Capital Marketing Committee. So we have Dr. Gallegos, our communications director for the county. We have Linda May, our biggest advocate out of the county. We have Paul Albright with the city. We've got Antoinette with the veteran office at the county. And I think you're also part of our marketing committee, which Michelle. And so do we have the presentation?
Yes, stand by.
So as the judge mentioned, the county judge's ultimate goal is to unite everyone under the Veterans Capital umbrella. And so I know that this board was created to close a lot of the gaps within our communities, right? So your responsibilities have been to really hear what the public is saying and finding out. You guys are so entrenched in the community, you know where the gaps are, right? Or at least figuring out, identifying what the gaps are. So in order for us to be the Veterans Capital and just to really solidify our claim, this board is just as integral in what we do in the marketing plan. And so just really quickly, I wanted to talk about the background on Veterans Capital, even though the judge highlighted a couple of things. So the judge really took this initiative back in 2019 when he took office. And because of his brother and just our veterans, like he said, we want to do this for them because they deserve it. And so that's really where that claim and that passion came from. And so in 2022, the Commissioner's Court approved and adopted this El Paso County as the Veterans Capital. And so since then, since the Veterans Capital of the USA, actually even prior to leading up to it, the county established the Veteran of the Year program, which I'm sure you all obviously know about. And so that's been, there's stepping stones that we've taken before proclaiming ourselves as the Veterans Capital. You can go to the next. Oh, okay. And so just a little bit about why, where we've grounding our claim on these things. And so our partnership with Fort Bliss, as the judge mentioned, is obviously huge and integral to this. And so we have the support. Now it's just taking action. Okay, so just a little bit more why El Paso. So I know that we have done a needs assessment also. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I went a little bit ahead. So we were rated top 10 best places to live for veterans. Best cities for veteran home buyers. There was also a study about that. So just 72 historical markers is also something we have in our community. So I'm sorry, I didn't want to read all of this for you guys because I feel like that's, I don't know, I don't like to read slides. But what I was going to also mention was our partnerships with the city. So our veteran needs assessment is also one of the integral things you guys can use in your goals. So we focus on 5 things: internal marketing, external marketing, reputation, recognition, and namesake protection. So I'll go ahead and move over to Laura so she can talk about the marketing plan.
Thank you. So as Eric has said, this has been an ongoing effort. And one of the things that I want to mention of significance, especially right now, because we're getting ready for the next legislative session, the last session 2 years ago, we went to the Capitol. We took bags of swag and information about why we made this claim of being the capital, the Veterans Capital of the USA, and dropped one on every single legislative member in Austin. So every state representative, every state senator received one. And there was a big push then to not only let El Paso know we're Veterans Capital of the USA, but the state, the nation, that we are Veterans Capital of the USA. So as part of this effort, we have the 5 pillars: internal marketing, external marketing, reputation, recognition, and namesake protection. And I'm going to briefly go over them. All of you should have a copy of this draft marketing plan for 2025. And so I don't want to go over every little detail like Erica mentioned. So in terms of internal marketing, some of the yearly focuses that we have is that we have created branding guidelines for the Veterans Capital. So we have signature blocks that anybody can use and put next to their names in their email signatures. We did a campaign through social media, through email. And then we have a Veterans Appreciation Conference every year for our employees, which has become more and more successful, and there has been more and more attendance from our employees to show our appreciation to the veterans that work for us. Our focus for 2025 is to work with Linda on the Women's Veterans Brunch, as well as other events that we have coordinated, like the County Veteran and Caregiver Survivorship and Estate Planning Summit. As far as external marketing goes, we try to attend all of the biggest events and make sure that the Veterans Capital is promoted. Paul has helped us with that, because we didn't have a grasp of all of the events that were going on for veterans, which I'm sure we still don't because there's so many, but Mr. Albright has done a fantastic job of helping us do that. We place banners and signage wherever we're able to. We're starting a program where we hope to put up signage with the help of our Public Works Department at the entrances of the highways. So on each side and then on I-54 as well. We'd like to put a big sign up that says, "Welcome to Veterans Capital of the USA." So that's going to be an important effort. So our focus in 2025 is also to start a business recognition program for veteran-owned businesses and veteran-friendly businesses. We'd like to make sure they have some kind of a plaque or a sticker up on their storefront that shows that they're a part of this initiative. And we're hoping that the Veteran of the Year will help us with that. So that is also a focus for 2025. Namesake protection has taken us a while. We had no idea that it would take so long to trademark a logo, but it looks like it's going to be happening very, very soon. And so that has been like over a year long process. And so the Veterans Capital of the USA, which you see down there, the logo on the lower right-hand corner of your screen, is what we have been working on getting trademarked. We have a very modest budget. Most of that budget we save for the Veterans Conference that we have internally. However, some of the past years we have received in-kind and donations to support that event. So we've had extra money to work with, but we do hope that eventually that budget will grow, and it's around $11,000. So when I say modest, I mean modest. And that's the end of our presentation as far as the marketing plan. And again, that is the draft for 2025.
Right. So this presentation is what we'll take back to the Commissioner's Court for approval. And what I'd like to see in January when we present this plan to the commissioners is that we come as a united front, right? So not only a lot of the criticism that we get is, well, you're proclaiming yourself as the Veterans Capital of the USA, but what are you doing for veterans, right? And so this is where I would like the board to really think about these things and how can we support you? Not only the marketing team, but also the county judge's office, right? And so I'd love to hear from you guys and also go back to your commissioners and get some ideas and bring them back to the board. I don't know if I'm missing anything as far as how we can get the board more involved with our marketing plan and also like attending events. I think we wanted to discuss, there's so many events that happen in the community, right? Some of the commissioners can't attend all of them, the judge can't attend all of them. But if we can have the VAB represent, at least in your precinct, that would be extremely helpful, right? This is part of the namesake protection.
And we're working on a description of the VAB. I've spoken with you all as you were newly appointed on redefining what the county wants from the Veterans Advisory Board. You know, what this was initially set up for has changed over the last decade. And so we're working on redefining what that is so that not only we, but you have direction as appointed members of the board for what it is that really the county needs. And we're hoping to hopefully identify, or you guys can identify and incorporate areas within your precincts or within the VAB to help promote or support the Veterans Capital Initiative.
I just have a quick question. So if we have an idea for promotion or marketing, do we meet directly with Dr. Gallegos, or would I meet with a judge? Or
go ahead. I would say you could reach out to Erica or I, yes.
Judge.
I think overall, right, it's just that we're all aligned. I really would like to just settle those claims of like, well, what are you guys doing for veterans? And so you'll hear from Paul a little later about the needs assessment. And so that's going to really help us also build that bridge. I don't know, Linda or Paul, if you all want to add anything to what we've covered, anything that we may have missed.
I think it's on attendance. I think one of the things that we don't see a lot of, especially on these big, like the Veteran and Caregiver Expo. I haven't seen a lot of attendance from the VAB. We do invite all of your commissioners, and it goes down to the VAB as well. And I know a lot of you are newly elected, so the next expo is at March 21 and 22, and it's going to be at the Starlight. And that's a really big collaboration because it involves the county and the city. And it, of course, it's for veterans and their families. So that should be very important to you all as well, to get the word out to your precincts for attendance, but also for your own families, and to see what type of information that you get back, because it's a working expo. So any questions, any things that need to be done, it actually will be addressed there. For example, the VA, things to that nature, so that you're aware of what your claims and your potentially your spouse or your family, what benefits are available to you. So I think that's very important to the collaboration, and of course to the fact that we don't see. Personally, I think again, this is a new VAB, but just attendance on a lot of the veteran events. A lot of times, I would say I'm the only county person that's representing the county there. A lot of times I'm there with Paul with the city, and we don't see anybody else. And a lot of times it's because the judge can't make it, and they have other events. So the judge is always, okay, Linda, can you represent me in this? But I really think the VAB should take a huge step in doing that.
And maybe Tony, you can chime in on this. The unattended burials also. If we
the unaccompanied, we're going to talk that one of the goals of the VAB previous to me was to support and attend the unaccompanied burials, and I've talked to you guys about that. It originated as a VAB function, and it kind of dissipated, and it became my office function, and we don't mind, we support it, we coordinate with the public. Now, I know recently a few of you have been.
I won't miss one. Not no more.
Supporting.
I didn't know about it. They're awesome.
And we say unattended, but if you look at the crowds, they're not unattended. They're unaccompanied. They didn't have family, but that is another way that the VAB can help support
the family right here.
And our office. So, and I think that's a huge, like Linda said, we can't be everywhere all at once. And when I get to my part, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about statutorily what my office is supposed to be doing and how it plays into this umbrella. That way we can better understand this is what this person is this lane, this person is this lane. We all need to be on the same sheet of paper. And I purposely created this meeting so that we can get all the information that we need, so that come January we can get to work and start making some differences. So, and I think that's been our weakness in the past, and we should have done better by making sure that each of our units, being the VAB, the Veteran Services, and then the Marketing Committee, were as one, acted as one. Are communicating and know what each other is doing. Will be better and stronger that way, and make more of a presence in the community.
At the city, what I tell the VAC, the Veteran Affairs Advisory Committee, is that they are their representation of for that city council member of all things veteran throughout their entire district, right? But their other job is as an advisor to this office and the city staff. Okay. Well, I'm about to do a presentation here in a few minutes. We can't hear everything. We don't know everything. As much as we keep our ear to the ground and we might be some of the smartest people in the room, we don't know really what some of those struggles are down there unless they kind of boil up somehow. So if you are down there in your precincts and you are the veteran representative to everything, if the precinct is having a meeting, then for my VAC, That's their place of duty, that they need to be down there during those meetings. When the newsletter comes out and it goes out across, from the council member's desk out throughout their district, there needs to be a veteran component in there. Okay? And that's their job, is to influence that, to get that word out there. So it's be present, be at the events, and give that advice to the staff so that we know what direction to go. Otherwise, your local government is just going to continue to do the same old things because they just don't know any better, right? Or statutorily, they can't do anything else. They're handcuffed. They can't do it. So, in some of the cases where Tony's office can't do it because it's statutorial, okay, well, then what other office can do it, right? So, like, we have community and human development, we have a similar office department. I leverage that office all the time, right? So, Project Amistad, do you know where they get their money from for rapid rehousing for veterans? The city of El Paso, right? So I go in there and I make sure there's a veteran component to that. So statutorily, I'm not grant writing, right? But I have grant writers, okay? The transportation grant that we got for Sun Metro came from this office, but that's Sun Metro that's going to execute it. And so, and that comes up through my advisory committee that helps me to make those decisions and figure out how to do those things.
And
so
the VAC won't meet again until January. They meet the third Thursday in January, and I have invited them to come watch our meetings. And I would like you, and it's online, so you can watch it from a computer at home, but I would like to invite you to watch their meetings because I feel like our efforts need to be aligned so that we're talking to the county government and the city government about the same issues simultaneously. And that's kind of what this is setting this up to do. So I was very purposeful in how we coordinated this meeting so that we are set up for success in 2025. So if you guys have questions about this, now would be the time to.
But to your point, young lady, you're right. We're not showing up. There's a lot of soft talking going on. We just ain't showing up. All right, we're wearing a uniform. We're not moving the ball down the field. I'm talking about the Cowboys. All right, but we only can hold we only can wear that new one for 30 days. We're all veterans. We moved in our unit. We observed. Now it's time to get some traction.
I think what could be helpful as well, we discussed this, is a calendar of events. I think Paul has that as well, or we're working to put something together. But if we have a calendar of events that we can coordinate together and say, hey, if the judge can't be there, Mr. Porras, can you be there, right? And same thing with your respective commissioner. So if we can, if that, you guys can go back and think, what happens in our precinct, or even that major event, let's plan to be there. And Laura's office and I can help you with swag or anything that you want to take to the event if there are major events that you see happen every year, right? So we can be a supportive in that way as well. So I think it's like you said, it's just attending and then figuring out who's going to be there, right?
Well, Michelle, we're getting the information. We just got to figure out how to harness it right now. All right.
So what do you think the challenge is? How can we help?
No, it's not we. It's how we can get our cleats on and get it. We don't need swag. We need sweatshirts right now. All right. We need to get busy.
Okay.
So no, not well.
Not literally.
Well, sort of.
Yeah.
Church. Sort of, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something internally we're gonna have to fix. Support's here. Our veterans are out there. Our community is yearning for support to our veterans. We got veterans out there waiting to go to work. We got veteran of the year here. You know what I'm saying? So doing great things. We just got to figure.
To your point about the calendar, I think that's your key piece.
It is.
Because there's so many things going on throughout the city, so many different events that I don't even keep it on my phone. I have you saw me with the big calendar. That's what happens when your phone dies. You still got to have something to refer.
Yeah.
And then if you have your calendar intermixed, then you can look down and see what events you can be to or attend. And then short of that, if you can't attend, then you will notify somebody else. Could you please take my place? But if you don't have the calendars aligned, then we have no idea where we're supposed to be.
Have you seen the event calendar on the City of El Paso's website? Anybody seen it?
Are you sharing? You love to see
Have
it.
not. Okay, right now. Have
No,
not.
I haven't.
Okay.
So we have the Veterans Capital page also live, and maybe we can have it on the cities. And I mean, maybe we think about how we connecting them. Yeah.
Like our page is linked to the city.
It is, yeah.
page, and you can link to their
Can you
calendar.
pull up the internet real fast? Type in elpasotexas.gov. And I'll show you how easy it is to access it. Luther is responsible for keeping it up to date. So he
Is
gets
there anything wrong?
anything wrong right now, it's
Blame
it's on him. He's still within his 30 days though, so.
30 days is it. 30 days is it. You own it.
No, he's hit the ground running. He's done a really good job.
He's literally hit the ground.
But we're kind of constrained to, we're not allowed to put flyers up there anymore because they're not ADA compliant flyers that we get sent to us. So we have local government rules, and we have to remember we have government rules, we're not just a business. So we capture all the information we can off the flyer, we put it on the calendar, and we put it up there. And it's taken effort a little while to get it, but you just type in elpasotexas.gov and immediately you'll see the community calendar. Click on community calendar, scroll down to veterans. It's that easy. So that's the calendar of events. I was trying to share. There we go. So just scroll, see where it says community calendar right there? In the middle of the page underneath the S in El Paso. Click on that. And then just scroll down. That's all the events across there. That's everything, right? You just scroll down to veterans. Right there, veteran activities. And that calendar pops up right there. And you can go ahead and just click on any one of those and you'll learn more about what's going on.
That's across the.
That's across the city. Yeah.
We probably get, I probably get 10 emails a day with events going on across the city and the county of El Paso. And I try to share, if it's something of importance, I try to go ahead and forward it and share it. Some of it's fundraising or veterans in need. I don't send everything, but if we can at all help it, yeah, we try to share it.
The only thing I'm uploading onto that though will be a veteran or military event. If it's not, if I see it's something else, then it's not going to go on there because it doesn't need to be free advertising. Don't need to be a phone book. It doesn't need to be cluttered.
It'll get jarbled.
It has to be an event. I'm not doing regular classes that happen every Wednesday or Thursday because then it gets cluttered. It's got to be an event. So that's the way we operate that.
Yeah. We can make it related to attendance. But also, one of the things I believe that the VAP could really help with is seeking out those untethered veterans who are not connected and providing them with the resources, give them the links to the resources, take them to the VA, get them in our community partners, whatever they need. Their families are especially, that's very much. I would think that that's where I've gotten a lot of veterans to actually sign up for the VA through their families. That's also an important point.
To Linda's point, there are 60,000 veterans in El Paso. Last time we did an expo, I think the numbers were there are 20,000 veterans with no VA service connection. Yeah. And when we go to the needs assessment, I believe that was one of the top 5 needs was the benefit.
Yes.
So finding those untethered, getting them to a VSO, it could be us, could be we're both VSOs, could be the VA. I don't care where they go. I want them to get the benefits that they've earned and they deserve. And I want them to do it before it's too late. Then I have to tell the spouse, your veteran never signed up for this, so therefore you're not entitled to anything either. And that is the most heartbreaking thing to deal with. So this is just one of the ways that you can help us. I don't want to beat a dead horse. I'm going to go into the statutory requirements for the VSO during my portion. But if you have questions, now would be the time to address or ask. But I think this is going to be very productive in getting us ready to go in 2020.
Can I make a statement, please? And I have to start off like this because when I talk to other individuals, don't take me out of context when I say this. This newly board, and I can't speak about past because the past is the past. We can't bring past in the future because it's our present because it affects our future. We have to get to the point now, this board right now has to get to the point, when we signed up for whatever we did, set with our particular precinct or gentleman or lady, we went under the pretense of volunteer. Our heart has to get to the point of past volunteer to get our minds to thinking it's beyond volunteering. It's a very important responsibility. That's the word I'm gonna use that we have. It's not volunteering. You don't have any responsibility. If I keep in my mindset that I'm a volunteer, as we're having this meeting right now, I can close my book and walk out the door, and it means nothing to me. But when we get to the point to where we move past the point of saying I'm a volunteer and take the very valuable importance of this, we're all veterans sitting here. I spent 30 years in the military, and I love this country. I love what I did for 30 years. I loved it so much that I went to the Sergeant Major's Academy and I worked there for another 15 years because soldiers and veterans are very important. So as a board, we have to get past the point of our heads just saying, it's a volunteer, I'm a volunteer. We have to get to the point of sitting down with our representative. And our representative has to tell us what their desires are. And at that particular point, every individual sitting at this table can come to you and we'll know how to go out into our streets, into our community and do what we have been selected to do, appointed to do. An appointment is not just something that's given away like a bottle of water. It has value to it. It has importance to it. And this is an important event. This is an important time. And this is the moment in time that we come together as a unified body. It doesn't matter where you work at, whether it's city, county, as a unified body to bring this responsibility to bring it to fruition, to put a stamp on Veterans Capital of the U.S. And it doesn't matter. It does not matter what you personally think. That's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. When we take this appointment, when we say we want to do it, that title, no matter what we think about it, is unimportant. It's what we put into it to make sure it comes to be exactly what it said it is to be. That's all I got to say. You probably won't hear me say nothing else.
So I think we got purpose, motivation now. Now it's direction, right?
Yeah.
And maybe when you get to that, this will help give you direction.
And I think we can also think about sort of like a timeline because our marketing team is going to present to the commissioner's court, but I would like to get the VAB also aligned. So if you could think about when, I know you have a strategic planning session, right? To talk about goals for the board. And so whenever you all have that set up, so we can, I want us to be a unified front to the commissioner's court, all of us together to say, here's your veteran team, right? Here's your veterans capital team, because you guys are part of that. So when we go to the court, we can say, we have action items. We're doing something about this, and this is what we need from the court. This is whether it's funding, whatever it is, we can come together to the court and say, this is what we need.
Talking marketing. Yeah, you're talking marketing. Internal, external,
but also just policy-wise, as far as closing gaps, like what the needs are. What are we doing to tackle homelessness? What are we doing to tackle employment, right? And so all of those things, and that way they can see, man, they're really out there doing some work. So that way we can get more support for the veteran office at the county level, and even just more funding for us as the marketing team. So I just want to thank you all so much for giving us this time. And whenever, as often as you all need us to be here to give you guys updates, let us know. but our office is always available. And congratulations, Mr. Porras.
Thank you.
Thank you for being
Sit down
here.
and being here.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're gonna go back on schedule now.
We're gonna start with item number 5. Receive an update from the Paso County Veteran Organization's Director of El Paso Day Clinic and other guests in attendance on information and events of interest to a Paso County veteran.
I don't see anybody from the El Paso VA. They were gonna send CD, but I don't know what happened, so we'll check with them, make sure they're clear in January. Do we have anybody else from Veteran Service Organization that wants to speak?
I get from the, so the, I just want to make sure that everybody has on the calendar the expo. And so it's in partnership, like I said, with the Elizabeth Dole Foundation, of which I'm a fellow of, and City and the County. That's March 21 and 22. And also a Welcome Home Vietnam event that we put on annually at 5th year running at Beller High School. At the only POW MIA site in El Paso, original to Vietnam. And we put on an event there. So it'll be March 29th at 10 p.m. At 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. Sorry.
March 29th. March 29th.
Yes, I'm giving you enough heads up. Put it on your calendars.
There's no excuse.
At
The Beller High School, you said, right?
Beller High School football field, yes.
And the expo is at the Starlight, which
At the Starlight Event Center.
Benson. Okay.
Mr. Michelle? Mr. Michelle, she boards it.
I'll put it on your, I'll put it on the calendar and invite you to it.
Okay. Thank you.
Item number 6, receive an update from the State of El Paso Military Officer regarding veteran issues. Alfred?
Was that this investment now?
No, you have your separate item for that. There's another item for you for that. This is just updates if you.
Hey, Paul, real quick. Hey, Tony, on the last one, about the meeting with, where do you want to stick that in? With the VA?
Oh, it wasn't added onto the thing, it's a separate item. It's not considered.
Okay.
If it's okay, why don't you do both of yours,
You wanna read both?
one right after the other one?
Okay. that's a
And
good idea.
then,
Yeah.
You looked at your watch, so you have
I
somewhere to
did.
go.
Well, no, I don't have somewhere to go, but I'm just making sure that we're mindful of our time for this room.
Okay.
So yeah, so I can do both presentations. So what I'll do is I'll just start out by.
Let me just
Can we
read it real
read it?
quick and then.
Yeah.
We're gonna do item number 6 and then also item number 9, receive a presentation of the 2020 Veteran Needs Assessment.
Okay, for the record, I'm Paul Albright. I'm the Chief Military Officer for the City of El Paso. I am a retired soldier. Also, I was hired in this job right after retirement, 2019. So I've been doing this now for several years, going on my 6th year already in this position. This position has grown from no budget at all, where I had to borrow sticky notes, to a budget now of about $88,000 a year. That doesn't include salaries. We've also hired 2 other people into the department. Luther Jones is our recent hiree. He just started about 3 weeks ago now. Luther is the Veterans Program Coordinator. The department, the way that it looks is you have a military side and then you have a veteran component. The military side is highly governmental agreements with Fort Bliss and the DOD, and then it's also heavily through working on grants. We've actually brought in the last 6 years about $30 million in defense money that supports critical infrastructure that's outside the wire of Fort Bliss, but also supports Fort Bliss. That's everything from road infrastructure to water improvements. We use defense funding to expand the KBH desalinization plant by an additional 6 million gallons of fresh water per day, and then gave a dedicated line to Fort Bliss. So you give a dedicated line to Fort Bliss, we expand the plant by 6 million gallons per day for El Paso City, right? So that's the military component of this department. But so I'm going to go ahead and get into the needs assessment. So why did we need to do a needs assessment? And you can go to the next slide. Really what it comes down to, do I have a clicker? I'm supposed to have a clicker, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's data that actually drives policy, and data is what actually drives legislation. So we can all day long say, well, we have a transportation problem for our veterans in El Paso. Well, how many veterans ride the Sun Metro? Right? I mean, we don't know, right? I mean, do we have a problem? We heard somebody complain about it, but how many people are complaining, right? I mean, do we have something that actually tells us what are the true issues? What are the true gaps in services? What are our true needs for El Paso veterans? So that's why this came to be. There it is. Okay. So why did we need a veteran needs assessment? Right there, what you're going to read, that's the no-brainer. Okay. That's what that is. Okay. So I'm just going to click right on over that because you all already know all that right there. Okay. So here we go. Here's our timeline. This is where it started. So we awarded the vendor, which was Combined Arms, to do this. Combined Arms did not have a footprint at all in El Paso in 2019. There was nobody. It was Combined Arms Houston is what it was called then. And they were doing needs assessments in Houston, Austin, San Antonio, Dallas. We said we want one here too. The city went ahead and approved funding in July. The county commissioners court approved funding right afterwards. And you can see that the breakdown below of everybody that pitched in to make this happen. And then Combined Arms came down here, gave us the survey that they gave San Antonio, and we looked at it and we said, this is terrible. We don't like it. This isn't good for us in El Paso. We brought about 50 different stakeholders into one room. And Efren, you were in the room, right? And this was at the Stephen Cohen Clinic. We were in one room right there, and we looked at what they had for us, and we immediately said, okay, we're going to break down into committees, and we're going to make our own assessment. The assessment that they did in Houston had 500 respondents, okay? And I want you to remember that number because what we ended up doing, and you can see how we did our final assessment was made in February. So we took that whole month, and just by taking that month, all of these different organizations came together. Everybody that wanted to do anything about homelessness and homeless veterans came together so that we can ask the right questions from our homeless veterans and those that are at risk of homelessness of what was the problem, right? Same thing with our benefits teams, our employment teams, education, transportation. We broke into groups like that so we could really understand what was going on. And then we went ahead and we did our assessment. Who in here filled out the needs assessment? Yeah. So here's a couple of things right there. We had 1,500 respond to the survey. Okay. Everybody told me that was a great number. I thought we failed. But 500 was out of 300,000 veterans in Houston filled it out. Okay. So they said we knocked it out of the park, and it's a good sample size for us to look at, okay? And so it's broken down right there, as you can see. And you've all, have they already been emailed this presentation? Okay, let's make sure that because there's a lot of information in here. We don't have a lot of time. But as you can see, we had a very large respondent rate, and we had a good demographics to choose from. Okay, this is where most of the respondents were at. So it was all across El Paso, and it was also down into the valley as well, not just in the regular Northeast or whatever. Okay, here's your respondents right here. Okay, most of them were veterans, but one of those key things that I see right there, look at the average age. Okay, 50 years old. What's the fastest growing veteran population age group that we have in El Paso? Does anybody know? Yeah, so it's the 24 to 40-year-olds, right? Okay, it's those ones are just getting out and they're staying here, okay? But they're going right back into work. That 20,000 that she was talking about, that Tony was talking about, a lot of them, they're either on this end where they're in their upper 70s and 80s, or they're down on this end where they just got out and went right back to work, and they were like, I don't need the VA, I'm good. I don't need the health care. I got my own health care. Everything's fine. I did my 4 years, I got out. So it's that group right there. So we'll come back and we'll revisit that 50-year-old population right there. Okay, here's the needs right here. These were the 5 major needs that the respondent said: claims assistance, employment assistance, mental health services, legal assistance, and look at number 5. That one threw me for a loop. Locating a veteran-centric social group. I was like, of all the VFWs and American Legions we have, you can't find a social group? It wasn't what we thought it was. A lot of them didn't want to go. They said, those are bars. We don't want to go to a bar. Right? Interesting. Okay? So it was a very interesting thing for us to look at. Okay? Now it breaks it down into a lot more information. Okay? And I'm not going to go into the side chart with you. Okay? Because but you can look at all of that later. That's all the respondents that you'll see in there. Okay? So there's quite a bit. And gray is the highest need. Okay? For all of them. Where do you get information? Most people get their information from the VA, followed by a friend or a family, followed by a VSO, an internet search engine, just Googling it, social media, then that's us, the city of El Paso, the county service office, right? So look how it goes down. So your regular government is way down at the wrong end of it. That's where the market has got to change, and that's where we got to change our effort. And I think that we've done a lot of that. Okay, so you heard about the needs. What about the gaps in services? Okay, so our biggest gaps in services, what are they? Okay, if you say there's a gap in benefits, what is that gap? You got to identify it now at this point, right? And so we ask certain questions of what those are. Okay, so your gaps in benefits was access to service enrollment and information. Really, it came down to they just didn't understand how to get to it. Okay. They didn't understand how to access the information. Since then, and this is about 5 years old, you look at a lot of the great things that the VA's been doing. Sure, we can get the claims and simplify them and streamline them between the PACT Act claims clinics that are going on, between all of the outreach that they're doing. They're going down to where you're at. You got apps now that you can follow up on and fill out. Things have really streamlined over the last few years that I'd be curious to see if we did another needs assessment, if claims assistance would be still the top need for a veteran, and would it be would there be a gaps in services? Would it be access to the gap? I don't know. I'm curious to find that out. Okay, but we can keep going through each one of these, right? So here's your employment one. I'm going to encourage you in the time that you have when you're at home is to take a look at all of this and see and think about what can I affect, right? Where am I at in my area of subject matter expertise to be able to affect that? The gaps in employment services. We just recently got a $4.7 million grant through Workforce Solutions Borderplex directly for hiring veterans. Okay, so that's a huge move forward right there. So those are the things that help us, and that's what comes out of this, is you get data that shows that this is the need. You put it in the grant, you get the money, okay? Interesting one right here, okay? Are you considering leaving the El Paso area to find better employment? 31% said yes. That's interesting right there. Why would they want to leave El Paso to get better employment, right? Is it wages? Is it quality jobs, right? Now, we can't affect that in our little departments, right? But when you look at the bigger piece of what are your commissioners doing, right? What's your economic development doing? They can affect that. And we got to show them, hey, we got people leaving here.
Do we know who's saying that?
The veterans are saying that.
Well, subset of that.
Oh, no, I don't think we do. Okay. Yeah, what's that 31% that's leaving? Yeah.
So,
I don't know.
That's a good, I mean, good point. I didn't know.
Right.
I did meet with them, and actually say that I think they'd be a great person to bring in here. I met with TBC's Employment Services, and the ratio of jobs to people looking for jobs in El Paso is atrocious. I think like for every one job, there's like 2,000 or 3,000. Did you come from there? Yeah, I met with Edgar a couple of weeks ago, and he was breaking down the difference in El Paso employment and And veterans come out, we're educated, we have experience, they know we have the discipline, so we're competitive in that market. But when you're talking about 3,000 people applying for one position.
That's the issue. There's a ton of jobs. It's the jobs that are viable, jobs that people can
Living
actually
wages,
live.
right?
Yeah.
Correct. So just to input, and I think I may ask him to come brief to this board, and I think it'd be valuable information.
It's good conversation because a lot of it too is, so I had a veteran, did 20 years in the military, just sent me his resume, and I looked at it, and it looked like he's trying to get a job as a platoon sergeant in Cav Scout. I'm like, yeah, you're not going to get employed with a resume like that, right? So there's still that education piece that we got to get through. So let's keep going here, all right? You got education gaps, okay? Once again, lack of information on available resources, okay? The gaps in essential services, childcare. Childcare is huge, okay? How can we make it to where childcare can be reduced and absolutely available in quality for our veteran population, okay? A lot of discussions about that. The legal services, that one's still today. I hear about it all the time. We just had a legal clinic last month, okay, at UTEP. UTEP hosted it, and I think only maybe 10 veterans showed up. It was well underrepresented.
Free legal services.
Free legal services, classes. It was an all-day event. Nobody there. So
I have some veterans reach out to that. They're saying that legal clinic is based. So a lot of the veterans don't walk it because of their income. They have income guidelines in order to get that legal assistance. So that throws off all the veterans that really need that legal assistance. So
that's the problem.
There's pro bono too.
Yeah.
Because I know the years that I've been with the county, they've had that legal clinic before. And it's always been the same reason that once they go there, they get the actual assessment there, but they thought, you know what, based on your income, we can help you out. So we can refer you somewhere else. And that's where it gets lost after they do the referral. They don't get a call back, but if they lose track, then that's where their actual legal assistance is. So,
Yeah, the one that we just recently heard is totally pro. It's free for veterans. It was a dual thing that they were doing. They were holding the clinic, but the other thing that they were doing, they were trying to get El Paso lawyers or lawyers in the area to also take part in it because it's free. So
yeah, it's like the Greater El Paso Lawyers Association.
Yep.
Yeah, that's who put that one on.
So they are going into a type of where it is going to be free. So yeah, that can be, you're showing up to something you think you're going to get it free, but.
So we're getting after a lot of this. Remember this, I haven't changed anything on this. This is 5 years old, but it can give you a little bit of a starting point, right? Okay. So what are we doing with our small business development, right? The city of El Paso has done a lot. We just created what's called a BOSS program, which is a business opportunities. It's a one-stop shop for businesses, and it's just got 1 million classes on there that you can take, talk to individual people. There's a lot of stuff on there for small business development. And then we have the specific ones also for veterans, right? For small veteran-owned businesses to learn on that one as well. But our Veteran Business Association, the VBA, just closed its doors. It used to be ran by Bill Sparks and Tom Hanley, but nobody's running it anymore. It's something that fell apart that'd be great if we can get that back together. Okay.
So if there's a veteran that wants to start a business, who do they go to? So
I would say that my advice would be going to the BOSS program at the city of El Paso, the business one-stop shop. And there's a link to that on my website, on the city of El Paso's website. You just click on business owners, and then it'll come up.
The state entrepreneur program too, that's here locally to TBC. Right.
Thank you.
Okay. And then there's our housing as well, affordable housing. You know, we have a lot of work going on with trying to get affordable housing, talking to our developers about not just building $500,000 homes on a mountain. You know, we're going to develop something that's affordable. You know, there's a lot of work that's going on in that. We just got to keep talking to the right people over here, commissioners, about how does the veteran fit into that. I got some really good conversations going on with Tunnel to Towers right now. They're ready to invest several $1 million in a veteran village right in El Paso. So and that comes to fruition within the next year. Did a little deep dive into, current housing types. Notice that 70% of those right there, they own their own residence. But then we asked the question, why do you feel you are at risk of losing your current type of housing within the next month? And then the respondents on there, lack of stable income. That ties directly into the employment piece right there. Okay, that was good to know right there. So everybody talking about property taxes, but it really comes down to is the income. So when you wrap all of that up, what I just talked about, the most common barriers was lack of availability and accessibility, right? Where is it at? The systematic barriers to receiving care. Hey, I'm coming in, but they say I make too much money so that I can't be seen there. I can't do this, right? Those systematic barriers. How do we get after those and knock them down? Okay. And then the last one was one that the judge really wanted to get put in there. Do you feel El Paso is the #1 place in the nation to live as a veteran? Notice that the majority, 54%, said no. So.
You got an education piece missing?
I would say it's a huge education piece. So, and that ties into that last slide right there, okay? So, with all of these groups right here working together, okay? Consistent, synchronized, educating all of our veterans that are out there. And not just our veterans, you got to educate the community as well. Because how many times have you received a phone call that said, hey, my dad, can he get free prescriptions at the VA? Because he's not enrolled with healthcare, but he served. Absolutely, right? Let's go ahead and bring them in. So we got to educate everybody, and you're in a great spot to do that, okay? I know you talked about a shirt. We got all of our have badges, and when they go to their city council meeting, they'll have their badge on that shows who they are. They're the veteran representative for that district city council member, and they'll be answering questions right there to people that are there. Right. So that concludes this presentation. What have we done since then? I think we've done quite a bit, okay? But we still have a lot of work to do. We started doing, I think we found our battle rhythm. Linda talked about the expo. The expo, the audience is the veteran and the family caregiver and the families. The Service Provider Summit happens every September, and the audience is you. It's a train the trainer, okay? So we bring the VA to sit down and learn from the other VA departments. We bring every service provider in the region together to synchronize resources, okay, and to learn from each other. That's every September. And then we go into March and we do the expo, right? So that we can put out the same information to all the veterans. Okay, so that's 2 events every 6 months right there.
When I was in Virginia, they had housing development because the veterans there that were trying to get housing that didn't qualify, they didn't want to be stigmatized by some little rinky-dink, run-down place that was called, oh, here's where veterans live. So some of the contractors built the complexes, but their house was there, but it wasn't the same as everybody else's that was in the really ritzy, but you didn't know. Yeah. Because it was maintained in the same complex. And that made a lot more of the veterans come off of the street and accept the housing.
So 2 areas that I'm working on. One was Tunnel to Towers, which is exactly that. Okay. Tunnel to Towers is a nationwide, they got veteran villages. They even have one in Virginia. It might be that one you're talking about. We toured the one in Houston. They took an old hotel and they refurbished the entire thing. I think it had about 300 rooms in there. The entire bottom floor was all case management services. And then you had temporary and permanent supported housing throughout. What I'm asking them to do is to actually make these actual houses, right? So they're talking about, making that happen. But the other piece too is we've submitted legislation through the county and through Senator Blanco's office to do a landlord risk assessment, a landlord risk mitigation program, so that the state will pay that landlord if the house gets destroyed, the veteran moves out too early, but it'll also pay to help get that house out of code, to get it to where it looks the right way, so it incentivizes landlords to want to rent to homeless veterans. Right? So that needs assessment. And then the last thing I'll tell you, that assessment right there is what Endeavor's used to build their $50 million facility that they're building out there at Pebble Hills. I don't know if you've seen that giant facility that they're building out there, but that's a state-of-the-art facility that they're making right there with a lot of great things.
In the state of Texas.
Second in the whole state of Texas.
Can you talk a little bit about the way forward and the next assessment?
Yeah, so it's time to do another one. All right, now it's 5 years old. Okay, so the way moving forward. Okay, Combined Arms doesn't do these needs assessment anymore. TVC does one, but there's kind of statewide, and then they kind of dabble down into our area, and it's pretty decent information. But I don't think it's not exactly what I think our commissioners or our council members need to make decisions off of. So we need to go ahead and source another one. I'm looking at using another local college. So Combined Arms used UT Austin for this one. So what we want to do is we want to use UTEP. All right, it's in our bank right over here. But then it's got to be another funding opportunity. So we're going to have to find out how much is this going to cost to get it professionally done. All right, this last one cost us $25,000. And then between the county and the city, and then if anybody else wants to, the VA can't give money to this, we already know that, but the chamber or maybe somebody else can come together, and that can be part of your strategic plan to ask in a budgetary request, because we need another needs assessment. Okay. Any other questions? This is all, you can find this presentation along with the 140-page deep down document on the City of El Paso's website. Just go elpasotexas.gov and then click on Veteran Resources. When you click on Veteran Resources, you'll see this, everything else that we have.
It's on the county, right? On the county veterans page as well, right, Antoinette? Don't we have that linked as well?
I don't think it is linked to our.
We used to have it on there. Yeah.
Any questions? Are you ready to?
I think there's a lot. We got to continue the conversation more, you know, as we can figure out the needs for our own, districts, I guess. You know, being District 1, second to none, still a soldier. All right. You know, we got to see what we need done in our districts. And as a community leader, as a commissioner for emergency services, I can't tell you what some of our veterans' needs are.
Yeah.
And it's kind of embarrassing for me because I live in my community, you know, and I can tell you within 10 miles, there is none that I know of, but got to get out there. And
a lot of it's education too. I mean, a lot of our veterans, they'll be like, well, I need this. I'm like,
well, it's on us to get educated.
Yeah, we have to educate them.
We have this, and this. Yeah, there are multiple agencies for every one of those needs. It's getting them to the right agency to help them. And then sometimes with veterans, you just have to talk to them for 45 minutes before they trust you enough to take anything you say as back.
I agree. Well, I'm going to tag on some meetings that had nothing to do with me with my soon to be new commissioner, and to get the introduction out of the way. Because I know there's parts of my district where I haven't touched yet. And I think it's the friends and family piece is what's going to come be the touch point where, hey, I have a dad who served, and yet we don't know what the benefits. So
that's a big piece that you're talking about, because a lot of the veterans that I take in, I physically take them in.
Mm-hmm.
It's because their family members have reached out to me because they've gotten that desert. And so when you see the family wants to get involved, and then you find out what the actual veteran has access to, then I think that reaching that family member is more significant, because a lot of the veterans have given up because of how it was 10 years ago when they filed.
I agree.
And a lot of the people that have jobs now, that are stable jobs, think, oh, I don't need it. But why don't you get it and not need it and have it
Just in
then
case.
once you get out of your job and you need it and you don't have it.
Mhm.
And so I put that piece together and gotten a lot of people to come in just based on that. So I think it's looking at what the whole situation is and who you need to target.
Which is how the expo came about. It was originally Summit quarterly because we had such an intense, we had a high amount of survivors, spouses, and older veterans who did not know coming into the county veterans office, who maybe were applying for benefits for the first time, or their spouse had, their veteran had passed away and had no clue what to do. So that was why we started this. And it has grown tremendously because there is a need there's no lack of education here or resources here. It's a lack of education.
I agree. Also, what's interesting is that they feel that the VFWs and the American Legions are bars. They're not really organizations, if you would. So they have a challenge to change that concept with their.
Yeah.
Was that the younger crew, the social piece? Yeah. Was
Yeah,
it the
that
younger
social
crew?
piece.
Right.
So we met with district commanders, right? American Legion and them. And I've seen a change lately. And they, not just because of what we told them off this assessment, but also because they're being forced to change as well, because they're not getting the membership like they used to,
Yes.
right? And the reason they're not getting the membership is nobody wants to go hang out there. It's just it's just a bar.
It's sometimes our grandfathers went to.
Right.
We still got that in our head.
Well, going back to
It's rural.
education again, and I'll give you a small story. I used to work with El Paso Water, and I was trying like heck to get a veterans group in El Paso Water. Wasn't supported at all, and that's pretty sad. Because if you talk to veterans there, I can tell you there is probably more veterans in El Paso Water that are not getting any benefits. Because then you ask them, well, I have, I said, but you've earned it. So back to the education thing and getting people together in a more communication style, marketing is where we need to go.
The veterans conference that they do every year helps pull those folks out too. We do a veterans luncheon every year, and I'll get veterans all the time, and they'll say, "Hey, I didn't get an invite to the luncheon. I finally get an invite." I'm like, because you're not being tracked as a veteran of the city of El Paso. Because I have a roster from HR where when you fill it out, you click, "Are you a veteran? Yes or no?" And that's how you get your job. If you didn't put that you were a veteran in there, I'm not tracking you. And then you're not getting my emails that I send out weekly to you either. So now that's the education, but there's an education and a connection piece too. So you got to connect them. So those El Paso Water folks, when they start hearing and seeing all these benefits that are going on around them, they go, "Wait a minute, I didn't know that I could, get a reduction of my property tax by being 70%. I thought I had to be 100% disabled. No, it's 70%. You still get a reduction." Right?
So that's how the electric company, they started implementing a veterans employee group as well. So maybe times have changed for the water department. Maybe it's time to revisit
This
that.
was very recent.
Okay.
And if you know of a business that has that, something that we did with the sheriff's department, we did a pop-up lunch. Someone got lunch donated to us. I got the VA, our main players for these types of services. And we went to the sheriff's department, set up at 11. They came and ate lunch, learned about stuff. A few of them signed up for their benefits. And then at 1 o'clock, we all cleared and went back to the office. That's something that I can coordinate for any business. If you know of a business, if you talk to leadership, I can do that. That's where I need you to be our eyes and ears out in the public, because you can tell me, "Hey, El Paso Water needs you to come talk to them," and then we can come educate them, do a pop-up event during lunch. I'm more than happy to help coordinate that. But just FYI, those are ways that you can be our eyes and ears out in the public. So I'm glad that we're having this candid conversation. Do we have anything else for Paul at this point?
Are you adjusting your marketing for those younger veterans at all? Or
My what?
are you doing any adjustment on for the younger veterans,
Yes.
because that's one thing. Go back to the VFWs. Like I said, that's our grandpas. You know, when I was at the Garrison Sergeant, I went to every VFW here. Freaking awesome. But there's no young people there.
Right.
It's a different social environment for them. So
They're all in team red, white, and blue. That's where they're at. Those
Oh,
guys.
running.
Yeah, they're out running, they're doing extra hiking, they're biking, they're doing all kinds of
Yeah,
stuff.
we don't
They
talk about it.
can family get-togethers, they go to
There's also.
line dancing
with those,
classes.
With those organizations, because it's veteran of a foreign war. And if you see, I was right on Fort Bliss a month ago, and if you look in rooms, there's 50 to 100 people, there's not a lot of combat matches anymore.
No.
So these guys get out, and that's the first thing they think. I'm not going there. American Legion, VFW, these are for combat veterans only. I'm not even going to mention it. That's why you have a lot of people that won't claim their veterans, their status. They'll say, well, I might have served in the military, but I didn't deploy.
So
So that's the
American
problem.
Legion is actually now starting to do a lot of gaming, because when you think about gaming, you think of that teenager, but no, that's that 40-year-old, you know, he's out there gaming too, right?
That's staff sergeant.
They are. That's staff sergeant. That's our first class. He's all about his PlayStation. And so the American Legion is starting to do gaming conventions. Okay. The VFW is starting to look into that. So we're on social media. We're on Instagram too, right?
Yeah.
So because Facebook is now just your grandparents now, I guess.
hey,
So.
It's UTEP and EPCC. You want to know where the ducks are at. That's where they're at. They're using their post 9/11 GI Bill. They're right there. They're not wearing their uniform though, so you can't just go up and say, "Hey, come here with the high and tight." But they're there. I guarantee it.
The coordination between the UTEP, the Student Military Services, and then APCC, the Student Resource Center, it's been fantastic because I've gone a lot to their, coordinating events with them, both addressing their younger veterans, especially the kids, utilizing those benefits. That's how you get them. That's how you get those veterans that maybe are letting their kids use their educational benefits, but they're not exactly tethered. So this is how we bring them.
Well, it's a great, very positive talk, but I think with time, maybe even shelve this maybe for, maybe a half hour for the next meeting, because I think it's very positive. So thank you for what you do.
you can tell it's in the Navy.
What do you
You
mean?
can tell it's in the Navy.
Me? Oh, okay. Like me?
No, because we could go for hours on this subject.
Item number 7, receive and update from the Paso County Veteran Assistance Office regarding veteran issues.
Okay, so the only thing I have 2 things. One, this weekend, Saturday, is Wreaths Across America at the cemetery. And since the El Paso VA wasn't represented here, I feel like I should tell you there is a ceremony at 10. Last year I got there at 7, and I parked like 3 blocks from the cemetery because that's how many people are there. I will be coordinating with our volunteer coordinator here at the county. We're going to do cleanup, as we're going to bring volunteers in and do the cleanup, but I will be out there Saturday with my family doing the Wreaths Across America if you'd like to join us. And I'll send you the flyer. I think I have already, but if not, I'll send it to you again just to remind you that that's what's going on. The other thing I wanted to talk about is what my office does. So my job is statutorily required. It's Texas Government Code Section 434.032. Counties over 200,000 have to have a veteran county service office. So my job is benefits, our priority, our main function. We do the unaccompanied burials, and we monitor this board, but our main function is benefits. And when you see the needs assessment, I always tell people, like, benefits was the #1 thing until we can get those 20,000 people lined up at the VA getting their health care and stuff that they need when they need it. That's got to be a function. And I've been going to Vietnam Veterans of America meetings and going out to some of these meetings, just meeting people. And if I can find one that's never filed and get them in, then I feel like that's a success at each meeting. So I kind of just wanted to touch on, that's where kind of what Paul does and what I do, or what Luther and the city does, it differs a little bit because we actually provide a service and have to kind of be butts and seat in the office. So I like to highlight that so they just understand the difference of what our offices do. We do try to support as much as we can. And I'm adding stuff as we go, but yeah, that's our main function. So I just kind of wanted to educate you on that piece. If you have any questions for me, we can definitely address them, but if not, we can move on to the next item.
Item number 10, receive a presentation from Accent Care.
I have Ernesto Silva here from Accent Care. He's been patiently waiting back there.
No, I really appreciate you guys carving out some time. It won't take up too much. I do have some material for y'all. I brought you some pen. And if you want to just hand those down. So I actually have some prepared folders for whoever wants to take them, but it does include all the information for the presentation. So I actually am the account manager with Accent Care here in El Paso. We are a nationwide provider service company. And being born and raised here in El Paso, I know how important it is with the veterans. Grandfather, a lot of people in my family served. Very proud of that. One thing that I've noticed in El Paso is, just like how you guys are mentioning, a lot of the veterans do not know that their benefits can pay for a lot of things that they're paying out of pocket. So provider service is actually one of the things that we actually have a contract with the VA to help with. So under this contract, they can actually qualify for up to 20 hours of in-home care covered by the VA. And there's been so many times where I'll meet families that never even knew this existed. And it's already too late, the veteran had passed, now it rolls on to the spouse. So I really have become the advocate for Accent Care to go into the VA, go into Beaumont, and really search for these families that need the assistance. A lot of the times, these veterans will not have their benefits active. At that point, I'm very happy to meet Tony. I can point them in the direction and just get them the care they need, because at the end of the day, we want them safe, we want them healthy, and we want to make sure they're taken care of. So with this program, it actually is going to provide help with a lot of like bathing, dressing, transferring. It's the stuff that they are really needing help with. If there's anything they may need help with, we also have a private pay. And if they're just needing someone to come in, clean, help them move some stuff around, by all means, we will put them at the lowest rate we could provide for all veterans. And one of the programs that we're actually working on too that is going to be helpful for y'all is veterans taking care of veterans. So we actually want to start employing veterans to assist veterans with that care. So this is something that we're starting to do. We're really excited about it. We're going to get it rolling pretty soon. And I feel like it's going to be a big hit. There's been a lot of times where veterans feel more comfortable with someone actually more their age or someone that's seasoned. So it kind of helps us kind of cater to the families, which is really good. So this is something that, you know, I feel really good about. I want to get more exposure for it. A lot of the times the families do not know that these benefits exist. Like, for example, like home modifications. We go in for free assessments. We'll go in there. We'll see that they got rugs everywhere. You know, it's a mess. They're going to trip. They're going to fall. We identify it and say, do you know this is available? Please contact the VA. I will provide them with the info, and they move forward with whatever program I could find for them. You know, so I feel it's very important to stay very active at the VA and Beaumont, because I will just come in contact with a lot of the issues that you guys are facing. So I want you to know I'm doing everything in my power to make sure that everybody knows about this.
Okay. Great.
No, I got my cards here too.
Yeah, please.
And with something like this, just like with anything, the VA is very patient driven. So I am very respectful with the VA. I want to stay in good standing with them. So what I'm able to help is guide the family with the proper information to request the services. So for example, veterans needing the help, they're leaving a hospital, skilled nursing, assisted living. As soon as they get home, they can request these services. It's as simple as a call to the VA saying, hey, I need to request a consult for homemaker services. At that point, they're directed to see their physician and request it. And at that point, social worker reaches out and says, okay, we're going to go do a home visit to see how much time you qualify for. At that point, the clock ticks. It's about 3 to 4 weeks to get approved. We work very closely with the social worker, so we do see it come in a little sooner. And as soon as it hits our desk, we are sending someone out right away to go help. So it's one way that, you know, I feel like it's good to stay, you know, good with the VA, because they are very restrictive with a lot of people going in, marketing. But look, at the end of the day, I'm going in the hospitals. I'm meeting these families when they're at their lowest. You know, they don't know these things even exist. The VA is wonderful about everything's that included, but until the veteran's actually there, present at the VA, is when they find out about a lot of this stuff. So I'm trying to change that. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Thank you for what you do. I'm right now, but no, I'm sure.
I have contact with Ernest as well, so if something comes up and you have a question, I can always reach out to you.
Absolutely. With something like this, a referral is needed by the VA, but I could guide them and I will be persistent with the families. There is coverage for spouses. So we do work with partner companies. So let's say it's a surviving spouse and they are low income. I could go ahead and try to get them to apply for the aid and attendance pension, which is available to cover these services. So the company helps out the families a lot by doing all the paperwork, submitting it and saying, hey, it's going to take about 6 months for the VA to approve it. We will front it. We will get you that care now. And once it's approved, just kick us back what we went ahead and paid for, and we're all square. Anything left over is yours to use however you want. So I've seen a couple of them, but in El Paso, it's the income level's right in the middle. So a lot of them won't qualify. And there's some things that I wish that, you know, with this aid and attendance pension, for one, it goes by disability level. Most veterans in El Paso that I meet are over 80%. So even if it's a surviving spouse and he is over 80%, they won't qualify. You know, so there's certain things like this. I'm like, man, I wish it was, you know, I could help out way more people. So.
And it's also how the veteran talks to that social worker and or the doctors. So and a lot of veterans still say, yeah, no, I don't have any problem. Right. Well, they do. Right? You got to meet certain of those. They're called ADLs. Right?
Yes.
This daily living checklist. And if you're not hitting those, then they're going to deny you. So it's that's good that you're doing that. Yes. Because if that veteran does need help and they're not taking care of themselves, they're not bathing regularly, they don't need to say, well, I'm good. I'll take a bath when I want to. I don't know. You just messed it up.
You bring up a very good point. I see this all the time. You'll have a veteran that is qualified for 20 hours. They're having a good day. The social worker goes out, talks with them. Oh, yeah, I could do this. And next day they're tired. You know, they're fatiguing. They call us. They're like, why did they take my hours? Now I'm only getting 10. And I tell them, look, when you're with the social workers, they are very empathetic, but they're doing their job. They're trying to help out as many veterans as possible. So in that term, like I'm telling them, when you're with the social worker, you gotta let them know how you are on your worst day, you know, because you're not gonna have perfect days all the time. You know, I know veterans they want their independence, you know, and I know a lot of them will struggle with this type of care. So I'm always a resource for any non-medical or medical care they need. If they need a home health, we have a lot of working partnerships at home. So always point them in the direction they need. But at the end of the day, I want to make sure that they're getting the most that they can. And the referral process, it's either 3, 6, or 9 months. So we actually help them out, do the documentation and say, hey, 6 months? No, 20 isn't enough. What can we do more for them? You know, so really try to look at it.
Thank you very much.
I'll leave all this with y'all.
Yeah. Thank you.
And if you guys have anyone, just say, you know what, I know a guy. All I need is a name and a number, and I'll just take it from there.
Thank you again.
Item number 11, discuss and take appropriate action regarding establishing meeting days, times, and frequency for the upcoming calendar year meeting.
Okay, so we talked, this was on our agenda for last month. I want to get suggestions. Do Tuesdays work for you? Do you want to keep it the same time? And
how many times we didn't make quorum in the last 18 months?
Not to pull a report, but I would say more than half.
At least half.
Yeah, at least half.
So is that saying the day's wrong? Is that saying, I think it's a commitment problem, but you know.
I would tend to agree. And then, like Reggie said later, it goes at some point, and even for me, and I'll type, this is a job, but at some point it changed from being a job to being something I'm passionate about. And it'll probably happen for you as well if it hasn't already. I think monthly meetings would be fair. And then if you wanted to, we have the option of scheduling special session if we wanted to, if there's something special that we wanted to address, like we did for the Veteran of the Year voting. we can schedule special sessions, and we can do that on a monthly basis. But I'm excited to get to work, and that's totally up to you guys. So if you want to change the date, keep it running. Commissioners Court is on Monday, so.
Does the date work? I mean.
The day of the week? Tuesday works for you?
Tuesday works.
Works for you? I didn't work that time. Works for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you want to keep Tuesday, the second Tuesday of the month at 1300?
Does that work for everybody?
It does.
The support teams, I mean.
Can we get a motion?
We will adjust, but
Yeah.
yes.
Is one meeting enough? We're not getting meeting once a month. It's like me telling my wife I love her once a month. She's not gonna think it's enough. I think it's plenty, but no. Is one meeting a month enough?
Like you said, we have the option of special session.
See,
Right.
basing the fact of whether or not we have 1 or 2 meetings a month, now that we're going down this new pathway, it's going to determine on what our commissioners are expecting out of us. It's going to determine what we're looking to do as a community, whether it be the city or the county. That's going to determine, is once a month going to be good enough? Because we have to know what our commissioners' desires and needs and wants are, what they want us to get out of the community. Once we can find that out, we can determine, okay, is this once a month meeting good enough? We might have to go to 2, but we'd have to find out what is needed.
And I'm being very honest here, to staff 2 meetings a month would be pressing for my office and the county office to support. But that's why I said we can always use a special session if we have something that we want to directly address.
And then if I may, something that we do for some of the other commissions, for example, if we're going to have a longer in-depth discussion on your goals or strategic planning, you can schedule a 3-hour or 4-hour work session for that month specifically. You can just extend that month's period.
We want to protect the quorum. Yeah, I get that. But at the end of the day, you gotta get, yes, sir.
I'm going to put your positive record for Commissioner Yanachi. If I were to recommend the once a month, but it would be a good idea, so like Mr. Delario and our office to meet so that we can get our priorities for our precinct and then bring them back here. I think that's what was brought up earlier.
Right.
That way, I think Erica was mentioning, so you can all bring back your priorities, your precinct's needs, discuss, and then make recommendations to the Commissioner's Court. So that way it doesn't tax your office, because our office will deal with, we'll set up a meeting with our own representative.
Right.
This is an idea.
So the goal for you would be to meet with your commissioner before you meet with us, so that they have something to bring.
Some of us already done.
Yeah, and some of them do, and some of them I'm not sure of. So I just want to kind of throw that out there. So meet with them regularly, maybe even the week before. That way, if you have to put something on the agenda, we know and you're ready to do that. So
Don't be surprised if your commissioner doesn't really know what those needs are.
You're correct.
It's your job to tell them.
Yes.
Right?
Can we also, if we have to cancel a meeting due to lack of quorum, we automatically schedule for the next week?
no, because it has to be voted on.
We can do, there's different ways of doing that. I know we have to have submitted 72 hours, right?
It doesn't have to be voted on necessarily.
We can do that now. I mean, we can vote on.
We vote on if the regularly scheduled meeting is canceled, then an attempt to reschedule that meeting the following Tuesday will be made.
Does that work for you guys? For me? I know we have stuff that comes up, family, usually second or third or something like that. Don't hate me, all right? But
Or of a different day of the week works, right? Or we can arbitrarily try to find a date, but I will share with you with many commissions, it gets commissioners or members, it gets can get complicated trying to coordinate schedules. So if you can establish the day of the week, so second Tuesday of the month for regularly scheduled meetings, third Tuesday of the month for regular scheduled meetings.
Is that something we can do, or is that?
Yeah, I was getting ready to get a phone.
Because we just lost another commission, another board member, right? So to make quorum is just more difficult.
Right, correct.
Until that person's really.
So can I get a motion to have the meetings the second Tuesday of each month at 1 o'clock?
Want to add
Keep going.
And
The third.
and the third Tuesday for any executive.
No, if that meeting's canceled. If we need to reschedule, yes.
Okay, I didn't hear that part. Okay, to reschedule another meeting on the third week.
Motion.
For after.
May I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And how long go? 2 hour, 3 hour meeting or?
There's usually only 1 hour. Today's the exception.
This was,
They're usually in, yeah.
That's why I kept looking at my watch going, how much
no,
time?
good information all day. It's good information all day that we.
So all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. On to the next.
Go ahead.
Item number 12, discuss and take appropriate action regarding Veteran Advisory Board short and long-term goals for 2024 to submit to Commissioners Court for consideration.
Okay, so the Veterans Advisory Board spent about the first 6 months of last year creating goals. And then somewhere at the beginning of the summer, we lost about 3 of our appointees, and it kind of laid out to pass there. So I'm going to go over the goals that we had. One of the goals was a homeless port initiative. Ismail from Precinct 2 brought us homeless port initiative, and the theory behind that is veterans would rather go to jail than pay these excessive fines. But when we were briefing this, when we were going through the education part of this, what I kind of got, and correct me if I'm wrong, Michelle, what I kind of gathered was this was more for like municipal court for traffic tickets. We do have the information, and I would like to pass it to the city if that's something that they wanted to explore. But it's a court system, much like our Veterans Treatment Court, that would work with veterans on like traffic tickets and stuff like that. Things that snowball when you're talking about late fees and fines that affect homelessness. So they did come and brief, and then we talked to Joel Bishop from the county, CJC here at the county. They talked, and Veterans Treatment Court came and spoke to us about what they do. And kind of what I gathered from all of those briefings is that this was more of like a city function for municipal court. My plan was to bring this to the VAC and have the VAC kind of take that and run to it, but it kind of went to the wayside in the fall. The second goal was a Veteran Advisory Board member handbook, which Alexis, the old chair, the previous chair, had taken an attempt at it. I do have that draft if that's something you want to look at. I will share it with you and you guys can talk about it in the January meeting. And then the third goal was to expand outreach, which we've already, this kind of been the theme of today is expanding outreach. So I think we're kind of already working on that. The other thing we need to think about is what goals that we can take to Commissioners Court that they can act on to support us. So like Veterans Treatment Court came in June and gave a briefing. They are in dire need of a female compliance officer for their court program. And they had asked if we would bring that to Commissioners Court to ask them if they could comply. Now, come January, February, March, we'll be entering our next budget season. That would be a good time to bring this to Commissioners Court to say, hey, Veterans Treatment Court needs a female compliance officer. The Veterans Assistance Office could use an admin specialist to answer the phones because the phones ring off the hook. That's just me. But things that can help these gaps in services so we can be more efficient in how we support veterans. Those were the 3 goals. And then I did make a note of the female compliance officer. We're obviously not reporting this to Commissioners Court in 2024. What I'd like to see is that we bring these back in January, that we hit the ground running and we're ready to act, either keep them, modify them, or pick all the new goals, but things that we can action in 2025. And like Erica said, when we go to court, we want to present a unified front between all of these agencies, and that's important. So.
Tony, if I may interject. So this is what was done last year, but as I've shared with you all, we're working on a new description for this board. And so with that, there are overarching areas that we have. So attending unattended burials, engaging with veteran organizations, as we've discussed at length today, the needs assessment and recommendations, legislative advocacy, advocation for justice-involved veterans, and identifying local service gaps. And so the intent of this is to give you all a guidance on what you can do within your precincts within the county, keeping in mind what the county can or cannot statutorily do. So there are things that you may identify in the community that is a federal issue though, right. And the county can't do anything about that. The city can't do anything about that. But could we advocate for legislation at the state level or even at another level to do that? Yes, those are the things that you would bring back to the Commissioners Court as recommendations from the Veterans Advisory Board based on all of this outreach that you've done. And so this would just be a framework for you all to do that and putting together everything that you've seen today, the Veterans Needs Assessment, the Veterans Capital Initiative, and then any gaps that you all have within veteran service organizations, specifically within your precinct or the county at large that you're aware of. And it's our job to help educate you all on what the county can or cannot statutorily do. And I think sometimes that can get convoluted, right? Because the needs are vast. And that's in any local government organization. The resources do not meet the demands that are out there. And so it's your job as the board to prioritize that and bring that to the Commissioners Court, to your elected officials to prioritize what they can or cannot do. So even if, for example, you all choose to advocate for positions within the Veterans Treatment Court or the Veterans Office, you can bring that recommendation to the court. They can direct staff to include that in the budget. But ultimately, if there's not money available to do that, it's going to fall down the road. It's not necessarily something that can be approved. But these are the types of recommendations that we would like for you all to start forming throughout the next year. But this goes hand in hand with meeting with your elected officials to identify what their initiatives are, what they want you all focused on, and then placing it together with what you're identifying out there, and then coming together to create a plan, set goals, or make recommendations to the court. And you can do that on a quarterly basis, biannual, an annual basis, whatever frequency that you establish that to do, or even as needed, right, as you identify gaps. But give us direction to present information to you like we did today, to coordinate with these organizations. Aside from what you're doing on your own time, and we do truly value that voluntary time that you all are putting into this. But it's just kind of helping tie together what the court wants this board to do for our county. And we hope to have this description finalized. It's in draft format. It's being presented to the commissioners. So once it is approved by the commissioners, then we will share with you the board so that you all have that same directive from the body.
Is something we can see before it's submitted, or?
Let me double check on that, Mike.
Okay.
Yeah. But we did
not to change.
No. But we did take the feedback that we've discussed separately, individually, or throughout the year, just some analysis that we've done in seeing like the things that were needed, right? It's apparent that we needed some document and guidance to give you all so that you all can be an effective board as possible. And we hope to have that presented to you in January. And so what I would recommend from there, if it gets approved, we present this to you. You all have an overarching structure on how to move forward. And then I think from there, maybe a couple of work sessions, lengthier work sessions to delve in and identify what areas you want to focus on would be a good action plan after that.
Glad you said that, because it allows me to segue to business cards.
We're working on that.
Emails. Because as soon as someone gives me a Post-it with their number on it, I don't take them serious anymore. No offense. All right. But no, I'm kidding. But in the same regard, I'm giving out my business card so they have my phone number, but identifies me as the county commissioner for emergency response, and they lose focus on what we're really talking about. Oh, you can fix it now. Or they'll say, "Oh, you can fix it then." No, I can't. You know what I'm saying? You can fix your fire hydrant, but we're not gonna, no. But in the same regards, I'm not looking for swag. I'll pay for it. I want to be able.
You're not going to pay for it. We're working on it.
But I want to make sure if we go somewhere, we're identified as the Veterans Advisory Board, not,
Right.
Columbia. Yeah. I don't need a sponsor. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Same with emails. Right now, I'm emailing people, and I'm trying to get my signature block off it. But as a representative of our local government, we should have.
We are looking into that. It's not as simple as you would think with Microsoft license.
I think it's simple.
Not with our.
Not when it comes to licenses,
Unfortunately.
especially enterprise
The
licenses.
cheapest public education you can get. So sometimes,
We're working on that some sort of identification.
Okay.
So,
Where can we get on the pound payment? Like,
Oh, the capital, we'll go get you some. We have some here. I think well, no, I may have it. But yes, I get you some.
but usually something as simple as a shirt or a jacket when we go somewhere is that we're not saying, they already know who we are, what
Yeah,
we
we're
are.
working on it. We've
We've been working on it for 3 months.
well, we owe some information to our boss before she'll okay it. And she approves those purchases. Anything that comes out of our budget has to be approved first.
We have a stellar, she has a sponsor. We don't pay for it.
yeah, I'll pay for mine.
Yeah, exactly, most definitely.
no, we'll provide that. Yeah, but it's part of this description that needs to get approved by the board. And
Right.
then we'll be able to share that with you all.
Okay,
So item number 13, discuss and receive monthly updates from our veteran advisory board members on any items of interest or issues from the representative or precinct veterans. So we'll start off with our precinct 1, Super.
I have nothing at this time. I just need my commissioner outgoing and incoming. I know their intent. I don't know our mission statement. So that's something I'm still trying to establish for them. Reason why I'm gonna start attending meetings with us, they can say, for your parents, your loved ones, I think we have a demographic out there that's great. 40 years old and younger that are veterans that work. I think personally, I'm overlooking. I'm looking for the grandpas still. I'm not forgetting, but I am about that younger demographic. So that's something I'm gonna focus on personally for all those things. But
Precinct number 2, Mr. Mayor.
At this time, I don't have anything. I need to get with my commissioner, sit down with him.
Precinct number 3, Mr. Delgado.
Richard doesn't have anything.
Precinct 4 is absent. County Judge, Mr. David Ford.
My goal is to meet with the judge.
And then just before I conclude, I know Mr. Sabowski has a meeting coming up. Mr. Sabowski, you want to let them know about your meeting for tomorrow?
I'm gonna go ahead and go back to public comment.
Can you go back to public comment? Mr. Sabowski?
Hello, David Zablosky, Davis Better Committee. Actually moved our meetings to Mondays because we're planning a construction of a Veterans Memorial there at Famous Veterans Park. That's a $900,000 grant from the government, EPA, Economic Development Administration. So it's in the design phase. The architect can only make it on Mondays. So that's why we moved it to Mondays. Actually, next week because Commissioners Board also on Monday. And so the county couldn't attend either. So we're next month, we moved it to second Tuesday of every month. We also got these shirts for some of you that attended our events for veterans. What it says, Paso County, the veterans capital of the U.S.
Thank you.
Anyway.
thank you so much.
And item number 14, adjourn.
We can do next meeting or will that come out?
No, well, we already
No,
voted for
sorry,
the second.
for next meeting. Hey, thank you, guys. Hey, thank you. Good information.
So can I get a motion? Right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
A motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Everybody